happened was, first of all, everybody else rehearsed for the Tammy show. They did a taped rehearsal with the producer before the show, so everyone could block out where the cameras would be, where they were going to stand, what songs they were going to do. James Brown did not do a rehearsal. He was a busy guy, and he also felt that if anybody could film what he was doing before he went on, you know, his rivals could copy him before he had a time to perform. So he kept it secret. So they didn't know where to put the cameras. They didn't know what he was going to do. He also was booked to be next to last on the bill. The Rolling Stones were the finisher, the headliner, and he was outraged. And I'm sure that he wasn't the finishing act. And I'm sure that helped fuel his amazing performance, which the DVD came out about 2 years ago, maybe. And it's incredible. The whole performance for the first time is available. The Beach Boys were on it, but Murray, the dad, didn't want them to release it with the movie when it came out in '64. So it's really amazing to see. I think it's one of the rare times when you almost feel sorry for Mick Jagger, because he had to go on and try to compete with what had just happened before.
And Mick Jagger, despite the fact that James Brown didn't want anybody filming him so they could cop his riffs, that's all Mick Jagger did. After James Brown performed, it was just over. Jagger started to do this bit, but also do the slides with his feet and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and that, it's interesting. Maybe you might be able to elaborate on this, because that piece of footage, not only did it introduce James Brown, who'd been going since '57 and making records.
Since '56, yeah.
And let's backtrack just a little. James Brown's, presence and popularity in the black community first, because ultimately the Tammy Show introduced him to the white community. People hadn't heard of him really, but how was his rise to stature? Can you give us a little trace of that from the beginning?
Sure. Well, Please, Please, Please comes out in 1956. Huge hit for him. And then he always toured. He almost faded away because there wasn't another hit for 3 years, which is a lifetime back then. You lived by the road and you had to play your latest hit. Well, he didn't really have a latest hit. So he survived. More hits come in the late 50s, early 60s. It's at the top of what was once called the Chitlin circuit. Black theaters, black nightclubs. It could be a tobacco barn that was converted to a show in Mobile, Alabama for one night only, that kind of thing. That was the top of achievement for a lot of African American acts in the age of segregation, and he had reached it. He always knew that if America could see his show, he was confident that America would love his show. America, the white community, it's funny, the black community, every community. So when Live at the Apollo came out in '63, America had the chance to hear his show for the first time, and that helped cross him over to the next level. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until the Tammy Show, when everyone could, at least in a 11, 12-minute boiled down essence of his show, see him perform. I think that really sealed the deal. And he was a crossover, or he was popular on the whitest possible terms after that.
Mm-hmm. But without compromising his music one stitch.
I think not.
Yeah. All these records that came out just after that breakthrough were like Out of Sight, right?
Yeah. Out of Sight, and he had a big squabble with King Records after that, and he laid low for about a year and a half, and he came back with Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, the very first funk records, really.
Yes. He was immediately on a lot of things that he might not have been before, such as the Ed Sullivan Show.
That's right.
He basically duplicated his Tammy Show performance on the Ed Sullivan Show in color, and it was just really stunning. I mean, Ed's always considered sort of a conservative figure, because most people are Rolling Stones fans or Doors fans, and they're thinking, he edited or censored the Stones and the Doors, but really Ed put on rhythm and blues in 1955. He had Bo Diddley and Laverne Baker and Gator Tail Jackson and the Five Keys on in '55, and it's just like he's calling it rhythm and roll, or rhythm and blues. He doesn't even know what to call it. Rhythm and roll. He doesn't know what to call it. So James being on there was like sort of a return to that kind of deep, Apollo theater roots, because Hal Jackson was an Apollo guy.
That's right. Yeah, he loved what. I don't know a lot about Ed Sullivan, but he really was an old school appreciator of entertainment. The broadest possible, you know, he liked Pigmeat Markham, who was a great Chitlin Circuit comic who made some amazing albums. He liked plate spinners and puppeteers and Senor Wences and everything. He was definitely an unlikely yet true force for integration, and he was just a lover of crazy variety show, vaudeville, showbiz.